Technology is ever expanding. This has been demonstrated through the ages, starting with the first wireless communication device in 1893 by Nikola Tesla, with the first remote control being invented by the same person only 5 years later. The first colour photograph was invented in 1907 by Auguste and Louis Lumière. Sound film was invented by Lee De Forest in 1923 and video cassettes in 1956 by Ampex. All of these led to the inventions of the World Wide Web by Tim Berners-Lee in 1990. All of these inventions combined is what makes up our generation's understanding of what technology is today. I've chosen to investigate more into the topic of technology and try to see why and how technology has become such a massive part of our everyday lives and society. When 50 years ago the best form of technology was a brick phone only used to make calls if needed, I thought it would be interesting to focus on the older generation and how they review technology and whether they believe technology is necessary to live your normal everyday life, and how they react to new forms of telecommunications. I took a trip to Age Concern in Cowplain to try and meet members of the older generation who are willing to learn about computer skills and want to encourage others to also learn new technical skills. I did this because I believe there is a stereotype surrounding OAPs, and many would say that they don't want to learn new skills or don't want to adapt to technology. However, everyone I talked to and the people I interviewed show that they do want to learn and that they do want to be up to date and a part of society. This is what Ron Sibley, one of the many OAPs who takes an internet class at Age Concern, had to say about this issue. Do you regularly use social networking sites?
Well, I do now, yeah. Facebook, yeah, and a few others.
Do you have a mobile phone?
Yes.
What types of technology do you have in your home?
Oh, like we said before, I had vacuum cleaner, television, record, CD recording thing.
Do you regularly make calls and send texts?
Yes.
Do you regularly use the internet?
Yes, I do, yeah.
Do you know what Skype is?
Yes.
Do you think you're at a disadvantage if you don't keep up with technology?
Yes.
Do you purchase anything through the internet?
Yes.
Do you think there could be more done to teach the elderly about technology?
I do a lot already, really. It's up to the elderly as well, to show some sort of an interest. I think really, people, they look at a thing and they can't be bothered. It's the patience really that they fall on.
Would you say you're too old to learn in order to catch up with technology?
No.
So why is it important that the older generation do know how to use computers? Because new technology is being developed every day. For example, Apple, a leading company who designs technology, has increased its profits from $13.9 billion in 2005 to $170 billion in 2013, making it one of the highest grossing companies in the world. And it's not just the money intake that's increased, the number of stores have increased as well, with 116 in 2005 and now up to 437 in 2014. With new types of technology such as Apple Watch being created and used by thousands every hour. Jill Summers from Fareham College, who runs an Age Exchange Club, is here to tell you more about her opinion on the subject.
Okay, Age Exchange is a project that is part of our student enrichment programme. The idea behind it is that we get a group of students to work with the elderly community and they exchange information simply. The students will work with the elderly residents to help them with technology, items such as tablets. Maybe they've got an iPhone or a member of their family has bought them an iPad for Christmas and they're struggling to use it and to get the best out of it. So we would ask our students to go and work with them and show them how to use those items in exchange for the elderly residents sharing their experiences of their working life, what skills they have, and maybe just exchanging some of those ideas with the young people. So it's a really positive project.
Why is it so important for OAPs to learn technical computer skills?
I think in the last certainly 50 years technology's moved on so much, and it's so advanced now, particularly communications. Most of our young people, and I'm talking about students here, will communicate through social media. And if we don't try and encourage our elderly community to keep up with the times, they are going to lose out on so much information. You only have to look at a television programme these days and they talk about Facebook and Twitter. And, you know, for a lot of elderly people, TV is their main source of entertainment. So if we don't encourage them and help them to keep up with the times and use social media in a positive way, then they could be missing out on some really important information. The other advantage of using social media and technology is so that they can keep in touch with family. These days, members of the family can be spread far apart in different parts of the world, and if they're able to use something like Skype and FaceTime, it's going to enrich their life. They're going to feel that they're still in touch with their family and prevent them from being so lonely. So I think all in all, it's a really positive thing.
So you've heard what the older generation have to say about this issue. However, you may be wondering, what does the younger generation think? Here is what Jack Masters has to say about this debate. Do you find it easy to use new technology?
Because I've been born into a generation where we've been surrounded by technology and we were brought up with mobile phones and computers in every household, I think that it's been sort of inbuilt into us just to naturally be able to pick up technology and interact with it and not really even think about what we're doing.
Are there any technologies that you feel are too advanced for you to use?
I think that obviously if you look at sort of the industries like design and engineering and filmmaking, things like that, obviously there are technologies around that you need extensive training to use, but generally all consumer products are now so easy to sort of navigate, and we've become so used to seeing like applications and seeing little images that we now associate with like an X for closing a web page, that I think that there's not really any technology on the market that I couldn't use and anyone couldn't use if they got used to it.
How do you imagine technology will change in the future?
I think that we've come to a point where technology is all about integration, how you can pick your phone up and that will send a message that someone can receive on their laptop while they're watching a video that can be streamed to their television. And I think that that's going to become more and more the case to the point where, you know, our houses and like appliances will be able to interact with our technology, like with the smart TVs, and it will get to a point where we can walk into our house and then it will sort of work off what our phone is feeding us, like feeding information to it, like so with like the Apple Watch, how it can read your heartbeat. Eventually that will be able to sort of interact with things in the home or fitness products to a point where you won't even need to type in anything. You can just automatically get on and use a piece of equipment and it will automatically know what works best for you.
How would it make you feel if you were old and couldn't or weren't allowed to use technology?
Really, really difficult to imagine not having that natural sense of technology and the way things work. I don't think I could imagine it. I think that it's so impossible for us to now live without technology that if I was thrown into a situation where I couldn't use technology, which is probably the closest comparison I could make to not knowing how to use it, I think I'd feel a bit lost. I'd feel shut out from the world, like I couldn't find out the latest news, I couldn't interact with friends or family, and I couldn't sort of build upon my knowledge, which is a really big part of the reason why I like using the internet and technology.
From the beginning of time, technology has continually evolved, and the rate of which it expands will never stop. As each generation grows, the more they will understand about technology and its advancements, which is why it's so important we involve the older generation in learning about technology, otherwise they'll fall behind and not be able to communicate with the outside world. Society benefits from input and inclusion from the young, old, able, disabled, different cultures, and many more. And if we exclude the older generation, we will lose all their valuable insight.
try to put us down.
Talking about my generation.
Just because we get around.
Talking